Hey everyone, we are back. And now I am double checking to make sure. Thank you for joining us today at our YouTube live stream class. We enjoy doing these. We hope that it is keeping you engaged and working on sword technique, thinking and practicing of the martial art, but more importantly, that it's keeping you engaged and involved with us. The quarantine is hard on a lot of us, but I'm glad that we can do this kind of thing for you. And once again, I want to thank John for joining me at the class and for helping out. As much grief as I give him, this would be a lot harder to do without him. So just to let him know I'm thinking about him, I'm going to make you as painful for him as possible. In a good kind of way. So today, what we want to do is we're going to work on a couple of techniques that are out of the Fior manuscript. Now, when we're working on these, I printed off some pictures, and these pictures actually come from Wichtenauer, which is a wonderful, wonderful website that will give you a lot of information about multiple masters and really will aid you in your study of Western martial arts. So if you have a chance, go check out Wichtenauer. I will put a link into the description of this class. The pictures I printed off from Wichtenauer are two versions of the same technique from two different manuscripts. We're going to be using the Pisani Dossi and the Getty. The Pisani Dossi is also known as the Navati because it was redrawn and published in 1902 by Professor Navati. But we're going to call it the Pisani Dossi. That's its official name. And the transcriptions or the translations that I'm using are from Wichtenauer as well. For the Pisani Dossi, it was translated by Michael Chidester, and for the Getty manuscript, it was translated by Colin Hatcher. They did a great job on these translations, and I want to thank them for doing the work and also for making it public so that we can use it. As we go through and we look at these, we're going to be looking at more than just the technique. I want to look at what we're seeing in the manuscript, in the illustrations, as well as what we're reading off the words. And my understanding of this comes predominantly from working with Brian Price. No, not Brian Price. From working with Brian Stokes. So this comes from my work with Brian Stokes and from studying with him. In the Pisani Dossi, we are looking at 14B. So this action right here, this is the one that we're going to be working on. The elbow push, and what is said, what Fiore says is, this is a good break of the point on the ground, and in this fashion, you will come to be in the narrow. So my interpretation of that is, this is where I'm going to break your structure, and I'm going to turn you into a very profiled position, therefore weakening you. In the Getty, on this version, on this picture, I have two different translations. One is, as I said, from Colin Hatcher, and the other one is from Tom Leone. This is the picture in the Getty manuscript. Very similar. Let me get that other one out. So in this one, we can see that he's doing the same kind of thing. But one of the things I like about using the Getty over the Navati, over the Pisani Dossi, is that because the Pisani Dossi was redrawn by Professor Navati, it doesn't have the same perspective that we are going to find in the Getty. So if we look at the legs in the Getty, no, in the Pisani Dossi. So if we look at those legs and look at the practitioner's legs, the guy with the garter, this guy right here. If you look at his legs, they're the same size. And when you look at his hand on the other guy's elbow, you can still see a bit of his thumb, but his legs are the same size. If we look at that same picture from the Getty, get this out of here. When we look at this picture from the Getty, you'll notice that this leg here is bigger than this leg here. This leg is bigger than this leg. And that's a perspective that they use, that the authors used in this, let me change that word, that the artists used in working on this manuscript to show distance. And what I mean by that is, in all of the pictures, the shadows are always in the same place. It's as if there's a window right here, there's an artist right here, and then you have the models here. So the shadows are always hitting them in the same place. And they draw these legs, or they draw everything, so that the whatever's smaller is a further distance from the artist. We can even see it if we get in close on the quillins. When we look at this guy's quillins, one is longer than the other. Whereas if we look at that same thing with the Pisani Dossi, we will still see that same kind of position, but it's not as noticeable in the Pisani Dossi version. So we're going to talk about this, and what I want to look at is the placement of the scholar's thumb. First, we're going to look at how he got into this position. Then we're going to look at the placement of his thumb on the other guy's arm. You'll notice when we're looking at this, the scholar, the one with the garter, has his left foot forward. His sword is over the other guy's sword, and he's on his true edge. But if you look at the length of the quillins, the true edge quillin is significantly longer than the false edge quillin. That tells us that his sword is in here, is at this kind of angle, instead of pretty extreme angle, and you can see that because of just how short the false edge quillin is on this guy's sword. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to get into that position. So with John there, he says, the master says, you aimed a thrust at me and I beat it to the ground. So this is against a thrust to my chest or my throat. Well, for my head, on this side. I'm now in front of you, so I'm just going to come down, so I can thrust. So that's what's coming in and he's going for that straight on thrust. I need to get out of the way of it. Fiore in his manuscript, for the most part, when he has his players in short distance, his right foot is forward. When he's in distance and he's laying hands on his opponent, his left foot is forward. So because we're in this position, we're going to start with our right foot forward. The attack comes in, I'm going to take it on my false edge with the two volta. But then, as I've got it in this position, I've got just a real high angle edge on his blade. My toe is still up on the ground. So let's do that again. I'm going to start an open iron door with my right foot forward or middle iron door. He comes in, I cover that line. You keep going forward. I don't need to push it out anymore. That covers the action and puts it outside of my body. My toe hasn't hit the ground. Now, as I push it to the ground, I don't turn my hands any, but I step in. And I have my hand comes up, thumb on the same side as my finger, so everything's together, and I put it on his arm. Now this brings up a really interesting thing that we were playing with earlier, and let's come closer so they can get a picture of what we're doing. If he's holding his hands out in front of him, and I put my thumb in his elbow, so my thumb is on top of his elbow and my hands are behind, and I step, and I go to push him. Watch the way his shoulder moves. His whole body moves, and it twists at the hips, but I don't have any real control of his body. However, if I put my thumb with my fingers, and I do that same thing, it's significantly stronger. And the reason that it's so much stronger is that if my thumb's in his elbow and I'm using my grip on him, his shoulder stays down and he's able to maintain his structure. But if I put my thumb with my fingers and I do that, his shoulder lifts up and he goes off balance. And so it gives us the ability to manipulate their body with less force required. Now, I am not seeing anybody on this yet, so I don't know if anybody's viewing. That's us. So I don't know if anybody is actually on here, and I hope you can hear me. Otherwise, I'll do this one again, but I'm hoping that you can hear me on this. So if we take that same action, we'll do it here, as well as our forward. Middle iron door, the attack comes in, I shoot the volta, my hand comes off, my fingers and my thumb, as my toe goes down, you just push him out of the way. Watch what happens, again, using that step of putting my thumb around his thumb. Now, I push his arm into his body, and he can still use his foot. He can still step into me. And now it becomes a wrestling match. And the last thing I want to do is make this a fair fight. So I want to push him in such a way that he has no choice but to give me what I want. So do that again. I start in right foot forward, middle iron door. I could be in forward, twos. I could have anything. I could even start an open iron door so that, go ahead, step. There's the blow coming in to hit me in the chest. And I'm going to start in open iron door with my right foot forward. So I'm in this kind of position. When that attack comes in, I'm going to shoot the bolt up without even using my sword, and he's still straight with me on the arm. Let's do it this way. Here's the practical picture. this is that penetrating as I can, the hold up, sometimes that's on my shoulder. He's literally touching my shoulder and able to push me off that. But that's only because I have not used my sword. That all changed. And measure. And as I step forward, I keep my sword straight up and down. Actually, true edge towards him. And as I step forward, everything different. And if you go here, we're going to have this. That's this. Here it is. Pick it this position here, this is what we're going to see in the manuscript. The difference is that the manuscript is here. You see his foot like this. I don't need to be that close to make this work. You know, it breaks the position of my wrist and makes me weaker. So what I want you to look at is the position of the bodies, not necessarily the distance of the bodies. Because that's going to be, they're going to be drawn in the wrong position so that you can see what the body is doing. And if you look at the interview I did with Brian Stokes about perspective in medieval and Renaissance martial arts, he mentions that the bodies are drawn in the wrong position often, so in relation to their opponent, so that you can see what the body is doing. Whereas in Gerard Thibault, the Dutch master, teaches Spanish style. In one of his pictures, he specifically says the figure is drawn out of place and out of position, because if it was drawn in position, you would not be able to see the other guy. In the Fior manuscript, the individuals are drawn in the right position, but out of position in relation to one another, because you need to see what each of them are doing. So let's go back and visit that picture one more time. And here's what I'm going to do. I'm actually going to end this live stream. We're 18 minutes in. I want to take a moment to be able to listen to it. And I put this on my earphones and microphone, hoping that I'd be able to make it easier to understand. But now I'm not sure that everything's coming through. So I'm going to end this live stream, and then we're going to pick up where we were. If you are with me on the live stream right now, I apologize for that, but we'll be back in just a few minutes. Thank you for your understanding.